Hello students, welcome to this ethics class. Today we will discuss 2013 question 9. This is the first part of the question. Again you should have attempted this question before watching this video. These are the subsections. These are the options which UPSC has given you. Again you can also indicate other options, not necessarily these options. And what would you like to advise? Give proper reasons. So again, acting strictly on others' advice means he lacks conviction and courage of conviction and is not fit for his job. Here, when I write this sentence, it doesn't mean that advice is bad in life. But because UPSC has asked this question, it wants to take your advice. It wants to check what kind of advice you will give. So, being a public official, we might have to take many decisions ourselves. We cannot always ask others and continuously rely on others. We have to take many decisions ourselves, and such decisions would be challenging. And also, even if we rely on advice, we might not always get a proper advice. So UPSC is asking for your advice to see kind of advice you give. So it wants to see your conviction and courage of conviction, and that is why we generally write this sentence. It doesn't mean that advice is always bad in life or something like that. Given the situation, given the question, this is what we have to do. We cannot strictly act on other advice, because irrespective of other advice, we have to apply our conviction as well. For example, if a person gives a very unethical advice, doesn't mean we have to follow. So until and unless we don't know what the other person has given, what the advice other person has given, we cannot really say anything about the advice. So until we know the advice people give, we cannot say anything about it. So here we are trying to show our conviction, our courage of conviction, our thought process. We are not getting any advice from outside. So we simply write that acting on others' advice strictly means we lack conviction. And UPSC wants to check our conviction and courage of conviction, and that we are trying to show with our answer. There is no other advice that is going to come into the answer. So there is no point of writing it. We don't know what others would advise. Since UPSC has asked for our advice, we are giving it. And leaving matter to successor means he is escaping responsibility and accountability. However, there is a benefit of removing conflict of interest. This also we are recognizing. And disclosing only partial information means compromise of values of his office, like transparency, which is fundamental to PIO office. Again, acting strictly on others' advice. Here others means colleagues. That is, we are referring to colleagues in fourth point. Others' advice means he lacks conviction and courage of conviction and is not fit for his job. Here he would also involve more conflict of interest by involving his colleagues. I would advise disclosing complete information. Small and honest mistakes always happen and are part of job. RTI allows us to correct these mistakes, and generally such mistakes wouldn't invite serious disciplinary action or criticism by public. It is intentionally wrong decisions that would face rightful actions against the officers. So if it is small and honest mistake, you need not worry about it. Everyone makes mistakes, lot of mistakes, it is part of life. It is only when you make intentionally wrong decisions you have to worry about. And even if the mistake is serious, like it is honest, but it resulted in significant public harm, but as an honest and conscientious person, you need to disclose to be able to correct the mistake. But even if you have honestly, without knowing, done a mistake, but that resulted in significant public harm, even then you have to disclose the complete information, so that you can correct the mistake, so that you can prevent the public harm that has resulted. As a honest person and a person with conscience, you need to do that, to correct the mistake, to prevent the public harm, to uphold the values of office and be accountable for our actions. If we have done something and if it is harming, then we need to be accountable for our actions. There is no shame in disclosing and correcting our decisions. So there is no shame in disclosing information and correcting our decision, but there is shame in doing wrong. So this we need to understand. So I would advise him to talk to colleagues and I would also advise him to talk to colleagues and superiors to get rule changed, as it involves conflict of interest. Someone else should disclose decisions taken by a PIO, maybe other PIO, and not that particular PIO himself. So what I am trying to say is that there is a conflict of interest, so we need to even get the rules changed. A PIO shouldn't take decisions, shouldn't be able to give information on his decisions, because if I have to take decision on whether I will disclose information on my decisions itself, then there is a conflict of interest. So either other PIO should take decision or someone else, but not the same PIO. So we need to get the rule changed. If people want to know the decisions I have made, then the application shouldn't come to me, it has to go to some other PIO. Otherwise there will be conflict of interest. So we also need to get the rules changed. So it comes to around 228 words. Again, we have various options and we need to evaluate those options as in a typical case study and give proper reasons. That is it. Thank you.